All right, everyone. It's over here. It's okay. All right, everyone. Again, my apologies. Had a little family issue this morning. Thank you for your patience as we begin a very important special meeting for the Board of Trustees on today. So that being said, I'm going to call this special meeting of the Washoe County School District Board of Trustees to order, and we will, as usual, begin with our roll call. Madam Clerk.
Sorry about that. Jeff Church.
Here.
Ellen Minetto.
Here.
Diane Nicolette here. Joe Rodriguez.
Here.
Beth Smith.
Here.
Angela Taylor.
I'm here.
Student Victoria Gomez in school. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, as she should be. Let's go ahead and rise for our Pledge of Allegiance, as this is getting close to Veterans Day. It's Veterans Day week, so we're going to ask, we have two veterans on the board. We're going to ask Trustee Church if he would lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Church, and thank you and Trustee Rodriguez for your service to our great nation on this week. Okay, we're going to get right into the meat of where we are. We know this is, we are all here for a very important purpose on this morning. And again, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for putting your hats in the ring and all of that for such a very important process. We know it's a very public process as well. And we appreciate you going through it and putting your name out there. I also want to make sure that as we begin this, well, let me open the agenda item first. Agenda item 2.01. I'd be remiss if I didn't welcome former trustee Katie Simon Holland, also one of our past presidents. Welcome. Agenda item 2.01, interviews by the Board of Trustees of the following legally qualified applicants to fill the vacancy on the board in District F who were selected for such interviews at the October 26, 2021 special meeting of the Board of Trustees. Elvira Diaz, Dr. John Gautney, Jack Heineman, and Adam Mayberry. Again, welcome to each of you, and thank you again. This is for discussion and possible action, and hopefully it's imminent action. We want to, obviously it's up to the board, but it'd certainly be nice to end up with another colleague at this point to appoint one of the interviewed applicants to fill the vacancy. And then myself and Chief General Counsel just serve as the presenters. A couple of things just to go over from how we're going to do things, just as a reminder. Each of our applicants will have an interview. We expect the interviews to take about 30 minutes. And then there are questions that each of us will ask of you, and you'll be able to have a copy of the questions before you. What we will ask, again, as we've done in the past, what we will ask is that we're going to use the scientific method of pull a hat out of a cup. A name, I'm sorry, not a hat out of a cup, sorry. Yeah, it'd be cool for that, sorry. A name out of the cup from JJ, although we do have some special circumstances, and Dr. Gautney has a family situation. I understand Dr. Gautney, so we're going to certainly allow your request for you to go first, so you can go back and tend to that. We certainly understand that, and our thoughts and prayers are with you as you deal with what you have to deal with. But thank you for being here, under such circumstances as well. So for the remaining three, we will ask the staff has a room set aside for you. We'll ask that you just wait in the room. It's an open meeting, so you don't have to, but we certainly would like for you to do so. And then we'll also ask if you leave your any electronic device that you have as well. With staff, Ms. Anderson in the back. Thank you, JJ. So that we can just make sure that no one's trying to be helpful and doesn't send you a little insight trying to be helpful. But we really want this to be as fair across the board for everyone as we go through this process. And what we will do is we will begin, as we have in the past, if there's any disclosures anyone needs to make for any personal relationships you may have with any of the four. None got in the way before, but it's important to continue to put that on the record if necessary. And then we'll go through the interview process and then, again, pull the name out of the cup. We have those questions, which you will have an opportunity for an opening statement We expect about a total of 30 minutes, so this includes that. An opening statement, we'll go through our questions, and then a closing statement. You certainly don't have to use all your 30 minutes. We don't cut you off at 30. That's just generally what we expect it to take. And then after we have interviewed all four, we will have an opportunity for public comment, and then the board will deliberate, and we'll do the same selection process as we've done in the past. We'll have 4 candidates, and we'll put down our candidates, turn them in to JJ, and continue the work until we land on something. On a colleague that will join us. That's the idea for today. Okay, any questions from my colleagues? It's the same process we've covered in the past. I think we're okay. JJ, you're good to go?
Yes.
Okay, she's getting the questions ready. I see that. So what we will do at this time, since we know Dr. Galtney is going to go first, we'll ask if you wouldn't mind the other 3 applicants, if you would join staff in the back. And just deposit your phone in a little basket. Should take that right back there, Ms. Diaz.
Should I come forward?
Yes, you should. You know what? Should you come forward? I want to. Are there any disclosures any trustees would like to make in terms of prior relationships? I do know 2 candidates. I know we don't hang out. We don't have close. Ms. Diaz. We don't have close personal relationships. Ms. Diaz, Mr. Heineman. I am familiar with them. Again, they're not close personal relationships, but I think it's important to note others. Dr. Nicolette?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Galtney was many years ago the president of Truckee Meadows Community College, where I was director of the Child Care Center, and we got to know each other through those professional activities.
Thank you, Dr. Nicolette. Any others? Seeing none? Okay. Again, didn't think they were significant, but we certainly want to have that opportunity to put that on the record if necessary. Okay, Dr. Galtney, again, sir, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for hanging in and throwing your hat in the ring again. And just again, quick reminder, we're going to give you an opportunity for an opening. Okay, and then we'll go from there.
Madam President, member of the boards, and Superintendent, if I appear a little bit disheveled today, it's because I haven't had a whole lot of sleep over the last 3 or 4 days, so forgive me for that if it happens. I want to thank you for the opportunity, first of all, to go first, because I do need to go home and take care of my wife, and some of you know my wife. She's a trooper, but she's now alone. She fell and broke her shoulder and her wrist, and she's a bit of an invalid at this particular point. I'm learning an awful lot about the kitchen that I did not know at this particular point. So let me take the opportunity to first of all say to you that I am here to withdraw my name for consideration. I could have sent you a note to do that, but my concern was that I would not have the opportunity to thank you for the honor of being selected as a finalist on both occasions here. That truly is an honor, and I want to tell you that I hold in great esteem what you do for 60,000 young people in this county. I can't think of anything more important than that. So as I do that, I want to start with just 3 quick points, and then I'll exit and let you go on with your business. The first point is, I did not say this board is a train wreck. Let me make that really, really clear. What I did say was that I see train wrecks in your future that I think are fairly significant, and I think that preparation to get ready for that, I might have been able to help you prepare to look into those things. I'm not sure that age always brings wisdom. A rock can get older. The fact of the matter is that I have been exposed to a lot of things, and let me offer my assistance in some advisory capacity at some time, if you think that's worthy, if you really are interested. The second thing I want to do is to point out to you that you are an interesting kind of event for an old political science professor. I taught political science and economics for a period of off and on for almost 40 years. You are unique in the sense that when you finish your appointment of this position, it's my understanding that more of you will have been appointed than have been elected to public office. I can tell you as a political science professor that we tend to be more tolerant, we tend to be less judgmental for those we vote for. Those we don't vote for, we tend to question more, we tend to have more issues with, and so on. So I was here hoping to have the opportunity to help you reestablish or strengthen those relationships with your constituent groups out there. Some of you have that because you ran an election. Some of you don't. And to not have that is to be in a bit of peril because of the fact that no one out there is really saying, that's my candidate, and I think you need to be very, very careful and hopefully cognizant of the fact that the linkage with that group of people are very important. The third issue that I wanted to bring up before I exit and give up the table is to say to you that there is in our world today a great deal of consternation and division. I watched carefully the Virginia election, which the school boards had risen to a point of interest in those elections. And if you have not looked at those elections, I encourage you to do so. One of the issues was school boards. And I'm going to suggest to you that when school boards become a political issue at a statewide level, things are not good. That is not the way things should function. You were given local control of education to make it work for the people in this valley. And so I would encourage you to realize that others who have not been able to do this effectively have found themselves in a certain amount of danger in that reflection. And so I'm not at all convinced that I have very many answers to give you, but I do have a couple of questions before you. That is, how do you bring those connections together, to bring those people to a consensus of what's valuable for the young people in this community? I again thank you very much, and I know my wife thanks you at this particular point. I am not there to make breakfast, and so, by the way, I make a mean oatmeal if you want to drop by. So, okay. Madam President, thank you again for the opportunity, and I will leave you at this point with my very best wishes, because I believe what you do is more important than anything else I know of. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Galtney. We certainly have best wishes for your wife. Thank you for those words of advice, those sage words of wisdom. I will say this, after this appointment, there will be 3 appointees, not 4, so it still will be the majority of elected. But that's still quite a bit, Dr. Galtney, still quite a bit. Trustee Church, you wanted to look like?
I just wondered if you had time to answer the question.
Dr. Galtney?
Dr. Galtney?
Just, it's still on your time, so go ahead, Trustee Church.
There were questions for the interview, if you have a few moments.
No, he's withdrawn his name.
Oh, I misunderstood.
Yes.
I misunderstood.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Galtney.
Elvira Diaz.
Thank you, JJ. Good morning. Okay, you can take a minute and get situated.
Which microphone?
Doesn't matter. The questions are in front of the one on your right, so you may want to. It's taped down, so you may want to sit there. Okay, go ahead and take a moment. You can review the questions, and then we'll get started. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. And welcome, thank you again for being here. Congratulations for being a finalist. As we get started, and I mentioned this just as a quick review, you're going to have a moment to do whatever opening statement you would like. We plan again for about 30 minutes for the entire piece of this. Then we'll ask the questions there before you. We're going to go in the order that we sit here on the table, okay, as we ask the questions. And then should there be time remaining at the end, you'll have an opportunity for a closing statement as well. Okay? Go right ahead.
Thank you and good morning. Angela Taylor, all the board of trustees, and Christian McNeil, superintendent, welcome here. My name is Elvira Diaz. I am resident of the city of Sparks for 15 years. My son is a junior in Sparks High School. My daughter is a lawyer. She just passed the bar in Nevada last month. I am a chemist. I have 7 brothers and sisters. We all have college degrees. We are 3 chemists, 2 journalists, 1 engineer. We believe in education. Our parents give it. My father was a doctor. My mother was a stay-home lady. The way I'm going to start my introductory remarks, I'm going to copy Joseph Rodriguez, the way you did it when you did it. I'm going to save my time at the end, but I want to listen to the questions for all my trustees first. And then I will say my closing statements for you guys. So I'm ready?
Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get started? Trustee Rodriguez?
Good morning. So how do you resolve conflicts with others, and can you give an example?
The first thing you need to do, Joseph Rodriguez, is to listen to the other side. And then what you need to do is put yourself in the shoes of the other person and try to see if you understand what that person is telling you. And then sometimes you don't need to win. Sometimes you can get in the middle to resolve the issue and have a win-win situation. If you have like the other person is upset, you need to let people cool down, and then we'll resolve it. That's how I do it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Follow up there. We're okay. We're good. Okay. Vice President Manetto. Thank you, Trustee Rodriguez.
Thank you. Welcome. As you know, we as trustees must work together and sometimes compromise. Please tell us your definition of the word compromise.
Thank you, Helen Minero. The compromise is when you put your word into do something. For example, you guys are super compromised coming to this meeting early in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. You put your heart into what you do. So my word compromise is, I think I have a compromise with the community, with the children. I already have the successful of my 2 personal children be ready. My son just got a bunch of A's last class. My daughter just got her bar test pass in Nevada. So my compromise is with my community. I want my community, my children of my community, the parents of the community, to have successful kids in the school district. So I'm compromised with each one of you guys to support you. I can give you my input so you can connect to the community also, and we can help the parents, the teachers, the students. Thank you so much, Helen Minero.
Thank you, Vice President Manetto. I'll go last just because I'm the president. I'll close out, so I'll jump over to Clerk Nicolette.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Specifically, what do you hope to accomplish and why?
What I want to accomplish, in the previous times that I've come here in this Washoe, it's like the students of the Washoe finish high school, higher percentage going to high school. What I want to accomplish is I want the students to start getting connected so they can go to higher education. So we can connect all the resources we have in Washoe District to the high school, to the University in Nevada, or to the college, or another technical education they have. No, high school nowadays is not enough. So if we have a good base, for example, in elementary, it's very important that kids read and the math, but I think we're doing much better job, but we need to go next step. I want Nevada to be bigger in percentage of education. We want to be an example. And that's what I want to accomplish. Specifically, help the students to get connected so they can get good grades for SATs, and so they can go to the university on the high school. So sometimes they don't know how to the system, so let's connect them. Let's help the parents too, and let's help the teachers also. And the counselors too, principals, whoever they need help. Thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you very much. Go on, Trustee Smith.
Thank you so much, President Taylor. Hi, Ms. Diaz. My question for you today is, what unique voice, experience, or perspective will you bring to the Board of Trustees, and how will this impact the quality of our decisions?
Trustee Beth Smith, yo hablo español. Yo me estoy comunicando ahorita con los estudiantes de la escuela. Ellos están escuchando este video. Y bienvenidos aquí porque vamos a luchar para tener mejor educación para nuestros hijos. Beth Smith, what I try to say is I'm here. I speak the language, I have the culture. I want to connect all these parents. We have 39% of Latino students in the Washoe School District, in the District F. I just saw the census map is big, so I want to connect those. That's one thing I want to bring. The second thing I want to bring, I'm the morena transgender person, my son. You know, when he entered kindergarten, he started becoming himself. And he started thinking so much being different. Right now, and his grades were very bad. Right now, he just gets A's. So I'm here to help any teacher, any parent, any principal to understand how to help people in the LGBT community. So that's, you know, I'm the voice. And then also, let me tell you, I'm a woman. I'm a chemist. I have science. I worked 10 years in the pharmaceutical industry. I worked 2 years in UNR to helping the dot connects to help eradicate the HIV. So I'm a woman for science, and I want to set an example. Many women, we need to start doing science. Actually, one of my friends, her daughter just was awarded to be in the STEM award in UNR. So we need to start putting the voices of the women. So I have really 3 groups that I can bring unique to this board. Beth Smith. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Gracias.
Trustee. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in before. Thank you, Trustee Smith. Trustee Search.
Thank you. And before I ask my question, quiero decir que hay otros aquí que hablan español y que también entienden la cultura latina or la cultura latino. Okay, my question. If you had a magic wand, what's the one thing that you would change at what WCSD?
If I have the magic one, if I like, we need to increase the education in the school district. We're the last in the states for Nevada. So
Increase what?
We're the last education in the state of Nevada. All the states in the country were the last. I want to put number 1. And how do you do number 1? But do more specific strategies so we can help and support. Everything comes friends from the family, the parents, the students, and the teachers, goes to the principal, and goes to the trustees who are going to make decisions. So if you think about the pandemic, many kids start doing classes on Zoom, and some, like, for example, my son, he's a Zoomista now. He takes some classes, he's amazing. Other kids, there's not. So we need to educate kids according how they learn and give all the tools. So I want to be like the voice for the parents. And Jeff, thank you so much, que hablas español. I really appreciate that. I didn't know, so I appreciate that. It's not just, it's the language, it's the culture, but the most important is the culture of the heart. This weekend was my birthday, and my present was to see Hamilton, because I teach citizenship classes 101 to seniors when they want to become American citizens, and I love the history of the United States. And for example, going to the theater is so much fun. It's singing, it's embracing. How about if my magic one is we can get all the high school students or go to that theater and enjoy and learn, or be part, like, more cultural things in the schools, a little bit more creativity that we need to do in order to improve. That's my magic one, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good, Trustee Church? Okay. All right, my question for you, Ms. Diaz, is specifically, I want you to get as specific as you can on this, all right? What are the most important leadership skills needed in a successful board member?
You need to be very open-minded.
Okay.
You need to know the laws of the school board, so you need to be familiar. So one of my things I'm going to do is to print out everything, so I have a big binder with all the rules, so I don't break no rules. We need to be able to sit in the shoes of the other person talking, what the meaning. For example, in this trust, you guys are so diverse. So much I can learn for each one of you guys. We have PhD, we have another one PhD. You guys are so, like, if we combine our knowledge and our hearts, we can change the whole school board. And you know what? We can be an example for the nation. Because this is it's 60,000 kids, but this is small. I believe that we can make the difference. So the specific is be a good listener, fast learner, knows all the laws, be very patient, like you're not going to always get your way. Maybe you can be agree in disagreement with sometimes with something. But the most important, putting your hands in your eyes, the children, the parents, and the teachers. I got a phone call for the principal for Sparks High School. He just won the best principal. And I say, hey, you're my favorite principal. And one day I went to, he said, Alvara, you're my favorite parent. So you need to have fun too. Like, this is so serious. We need to kind of relax. We need to have, like, other thing, Angela Taylor. We are the first example for our children. So when we have an issue, if we set the example for our children how to resolve things. I don't want when I go back home, my son say, Mom, the way you behave was wrong. You should be more polite and more civil. So we us are the first example for our children. So that's the other quality I think the board of trustees needs to have. And then if we make a mistake, we need to accept. Yes, I make a mistake. I didn't know that law. I was mad that day. Something happened, So honest. We need to be honest with ourselves. I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we do have time left, unless there are any follow-ups that any trustee would like to share at this time. We certainly can. You're leaning in, Trustee Church?
I do. And by the way, that'll be our secret on your favorite principal if you get selected. We won't tell the other principals you said that. But I do notice on your resume, it shows two present. You're with three different organizations, Progressive Leadership, known as PLAN, Nosotros Votamos, and Immigration Reform. And those are advocacy, political, those words are in your resume. How do you do that and still not be political advocacy and be open to every idea with the school board? Do you see the conflict or the issue there?
This is what happened this being a trustee, the position is nothing to do to be political. It's just it's like you management the whole school district. You see the resources, you see the kids. So this has nothing to do with other things I've been doing. For example, before I worked as a chemist, I see in pharmaceuticals, so I have nothing to do with activists. I work specifically to find the cure for virus in my lab. So this is, like, for me, is going to the next step. Since I'm a good connector, I do a bunch of phone calls. You see how many people endorse me or whatever. The thing is, I want to be the connector for them, what they need. And then I want you guys to tell me, if you need something, Elvira, can we find something? Then I'm going to connect. So this is like a different job prescription. For example, I love to make tamales in my house. So cooking tamales requires so much labor and intensity, so it's a different thing so it's two different jobs completely. Thank you, Jeff.
I won't consider it a bribe, but you can bring the tamales to the board meetings if selected.
We won't consider that a bribe. Okay, any other follow-up questions from Trustee Smith?
I do, and that was a great question, Trustee Church. Just to follow on to that, just to elaborate a little bit more, knowing your background, would you be open to other members of our community that have different perspectives? Would you be able to weave that and integrate that into the decisions that you make as a board member?
Brett Smith is a very good question. Let me tell you, last election I ran for city council on Sparks. And guess what happened when I lost? One of my best friends is Paul Anderson, and I got endorsement by Baby Shibi that she is also part of the city council. And what we did a bunch of Zooms, so we can make peace in the community, because we have some kind of stress there. So I proved that I got endorsed by one of the members from the other political side. To me, I see the people. Everybody has something to contribute. You don't need necessary party lines. I concentrate in the people. I want to see, for example, what Diane, she went to school, she is a PhD. If I see a student wants to be a PhD, connected to her. So, like I said, this is a different way. I'm very open. I learned to be agree and disagree. You know, I'm a parent of transgender. Some people don't like transgender kids. It's okay. They don't need to like my son. But I can work with them. And that's how you start develop relationships. So, you know, I'm very, like, working with other people. I have people who are so different from me. If everybody is the same as me, my life would be so bored. I have all kinds of friends. And I don't know if that answered to your question.
It does. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Smith. Any other follow-up questions? We have a little time. Okay. Okay, Sheena and Ms. Diaz, this is your opportunity now. You kind of forgoed your opening statement. You said you wanted to leave it all towards the end, and that's okay. You have an opportunity then to whatever final comments, closing statement, or anything like that you'd like to leave with the board.
Yes. One of the things I want to mention, but President Smith, I was thinking, when I moved from California, I moved to Carson City and by Sierra Bakery. And Sierra Bakery, my bakery was very Republican. And I didn't know. It's a bakery. I bake and I sell. And I learned so much, and we learn each other. And we have so much one-on-ones. And it's so amazing when you're able to listen to the other side and just, sometimes you can be agree and disagree. It's okay. Life is like that. So, okay, in my closing remarks, I'm going to say, of course, I'm going to represent the Latinx community that, like I say, is 39% of the Washoe County School District. If you look at the public comments that I sent, let me tell you, I went to the Dia de los Muertos event, and I put a little table. And I got 108 signatures for different types of people, not just Latino. Even a lawyer, my friend lawyer, signed something. It's so interesting that people embrace me. I was there for 4 hours, and I get just volunteers by themselves helping me. They're so excited that they can reach out to me for questions they have. So that's really amazing. So sometimes the Latino community has challenged to communicate to the board, and hopefully, if I win, they can be part of this more. The other thing I want to get kids ready to college. High school graduations are coming up. I'm so proud of the job the board has been doing, but we need to connect to higher education. We need to help the kids in the SET and the ACT so they can get scholarships. And I would like to host college fairs in the schools. something more accessible. I want to have in the schools or somebody in charge to prepare kids for ACT or SAT. I want women to become scientists. There's nothing wrong. We all humans can be scientists, and we need women, and so promote the STEM. And like I say also, I wish that I can be a good example with the students as myself, and we can learn each other. And if I make a mistake or something, you can say, Helen, you can tell Elvira, I think you were wrong in this, and I need to be open to get criticized and learn, because we're learning for each other. So we need to make this decision. Actually, this job is decision making and affecting 60,000 students. So it's a big thing. It's a big responsibility. And so I want to be bipartisan. So it doesn't matter what party. You have party, no party, that's no big deal. I want to have civility. So means we need to talk. We can be in disagree, but we need to talk nice and prudency and with love and understanding, you know. That's how love makes changes, you know. And at the end of the day, I want to work for the students. The students are the ones in my mind. I've been blessed to have 2 kids, and my kids are successful. Also, I have nephews. My brother has 6 children, and 5 of his children are going to right now to the university. One of her daughters just approved for being a doctor. My other niece just passed the bar test in New York. So when we sit down, and sometimes we talk about nonsense, about how to get better, how to be happy, how to get educated. Because if we teach our kids to have a critical thinking, they're going to be a successful people. And that's what I want. And then I want to just show you that I have, I checked the census, the demographics for Nevada, and in the census, it's kind of a bad picture, but Latinos are increasing. And my district, District F, for example, Sun Valley, in the Olive Boulevard, near road, there's a lot of Latinos. How about if we can get all those little kids to have a college graduate and have good grades? Can you guys help me to do that? I really can tell you, I will help you, and we can work together so we can be successful. We want to get, just back when I came this morning, one lady was applying for some kind of job. We need to have good people who have passion for education so we can be successful. For example, I know the president of UNR, Brian Sandoval, he's my friend. We're very good friends. He knows my son. We signed a bill together in the legislation. He's the president now of the UNR. Can you believe how excited to know the president? So you can get unconnected. Reno's so small, and that's why I love to live in Reno. We can make changes. We can be an example. We can be together to decide for a new superintendent that we want to have. I was talking to Pedro Martinez, Tracy Davis, Christine. I didn't talk to you because of the pandemic too much, but I'm being part of it. So please use me, even if you guys don't choose me for whatever reason. Use me as a resource, because I want to have successful. If our neighbors, our children are successful, we're going to be successful. So I really, I don't know what else I need to talk, okay. But I'm very grateful. I feel honored to be part of this, being number 4. Feel so happy. And I want to thank everybody who's watching in there, who endorsed me, who support me, who trust in me, and we're going to get this. We're going to be successful. We're going to be happy. We're going to keep enjoying helping the students and helping the parents and the teachers. So thank you so much for your time. I give you 7 minutes back so you can rest. and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Diaz. You are here because you earned the chance to be here, so we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, since you've interviewed, you're certainly welcome to stay. You retrieve your home back and stay as we do the other 2 interviews, okay?
Thank you.
Who'll be next, JJ? Pulling the hat out of the cup, thank you.
Adam Mayberry.
You have time, they have to get the... Okay, Mr. Mayberry. Welcome, Mr. Mayberry.
Good morning.
Good morning, trust. Oh, he's right back. Okay. All right. So we'll give you a couple moments to. We're going to give you a couple moments. No, you should sit there in front of the questions. Yes, sir. You're in a good place. Okay. Okay, guys. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Mr. Mayberry, going to give you a couple moments to review these questions, and then we'll begin.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's not yours, so don't write on it. Would you like paper? Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Take a sip of water. Good morning.
Okay, so this is what we'll do, sir. Looks like you've reviewed the questions. We're going to, again, and I said this just as a little bit of a reminder, you'll have an opportunity to give an opening statement for the board. We have about 30 minutes for the whole thing, as I said before, and then we'll ask our questions. You have them there in front of you. We'll go in order here. I'll go last, because then I'll be continuing on with the meeting. If there's time, there may be opportunity for any kind of follow-up that may happen along the way from the board, and then you'll have an opportunity towards the end of that time for any closing statement or comments you'd like to make. And once again, I just want to thank you for throwing your hat in the ring and being a part of this really important process for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So whenever you're ready to begin, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent McNeil, and Washoe County students and families. I'm Adam Mayberry, and once again, thank you for this opportunity and honor. It's been truly a humbling experience. This is the third time that you've done this in a matter of a few months, so 3 times the charm, hopefully. I want to say from Hidden Valley to Sun Valley to Palomino Valley, from Geiger Gray to Spanish Springs and the urban core of the city of Sparks, I know District F well. In my professional duties, I visit these areas frequently. I understand the diverse lifestyles that are embedded in many of these communities. I want to be clear, too, that I have my employer's full support, and I have the time to serve in this important capacity. The preparation of this experience has allowed me to learn a great deal thus far on our public schools in Washoe County. But as with all education endeavors, I have much to learn, and that never stops. But my heart is fully in this role, and should I be selected, I'm ready to go to work and give it my all, and I'm ready to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayberry. We're going to start with Trustee Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So first question, how do you resolve conflicts with others, the community, co-workers, etc.? And can you give an example?
Can I ask you to repeat the question, Trustee Rodriguez? I'm sorry.
No worries. So how do you resolve conflicts with others, so community, co-workers, things of that nature? And can you give an example?
Sure. I think from my perspective, I get along well with others. I'm a team player, and I typically find that if I'm not getting along well with somebody, or if I'm having an issue, that typically other people are having the same issue with that individual. So I typically just work methodically in tandem, the best that I can. But if there's a conflict, that I can sit down with that individual and talk through the issue, see if we can come to a resolution. Express my concern, so in my career, again, I have worked very well with others. That's not to suggest that there haven't been times in my career where there's been, perhaps some conflicts, individuals that perhaps I was assigned to work alongside with that may have, for whatever reason, been uncomfortable or not want to work closely with me. May have been felt as if I was taken over. In fact, that's kind of the scenario that I'm providing. And I just allow that person to continue to work on this particular project, and kind of lead the project, and I shadowed this individual, just to assure that I wasn't trying to be threatening. But at some point, I had to engage and really had a heart-to-heart conversation about what we can do to work together for the betterment of the organization and to really achieve the common goal. And ultimately, I had to perform to earn the trust of this individual, and same with me. So I think that would be sort of a broad stroke overview of a scenario that comes to my mind. I hope that answers your question.
You good, Trustee Rodriguez? Okay, Vice President Minedo?
Thank you, Madam President, and welcome. Well, as you know, we as trustees must work together and sometimes compromise. Please tell us your definition of the word compromise.
Well, I think compromising is essentially meeting in the middle. They say that the best compromise is when nobody's happy, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think that's one of the challenges in our democracy today is an unwillingness to compromise. And our democracy, this type of democratic function, is really designed for compromise. And when you can't compromise, things break down. And so I think that's sort of the strength that I bring, is the ability to compromise and meet somewhere in the middle, to where each side has an opportunity to have an equal say, that there's some equitable resolution, for all involved. But it's and I preface that by saying it's not easy in today's society, because we do have factions that are sort of hell-bent and want to plant their feet in the sand. And I think just through building relationships, being positive, continuing to work together, ultimately, I think at the end of the day, you can reach a goal where most are satisfied and most get what they want. But I certainly recognize the divisions that exist today. I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Minedo. Clerk Nicolette?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Specifically, what do you hope to accomplish and why?
Well, in this particular capacity, it is essentially a 14-month tenure, and of course, it certainly could go longer, but just assuming that I have the pleasure to fill this seat for 14 months, I think the number one priority really is to replace our great superintendent, and then ensure a sense of stability through the transition, through a new superintendent. And I think we have to get that right. We have to get the selection firm right. We have to get the process right, and we have to get the final candidates. They have to be thoroughly vetted. I think that is absolutely critical. I also hope to be one of 7 voices that can bring a sense of reason and a sense of unity. I think that's important. I think, this is, I've watched some of these meetings. This is a great board. Certainly a public perception out there that, when it comes to credibility and trust, and I want to help this board perform to rebuild a lot of that credibility and trust. And as a dad, I'm mindful of our students and the uncertainty of what they're going through with COVID and mask and a lot of the divisiveness. So I want to be a voice of reason and help bring that to this board. And certainly, I think we all have our own champion issues. And I'll have a few as well, I'm sure, to try to raise the awareness of kids with special needs. And so those are some things that come to my mind, Trustee Nicolette. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Nicolette. We'll go to Trustee Smith.
Thank you, President Taylor. Hi, Mr. Mayberry. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Trustee Smith.
So my question is, what unique voice, experience, or perspective will you bring to the Board of Trustees, and how will this impact the quality of our decisions?
Thank you. Well, I think, from my perspective, I've been in public service for 29 years now in a variety of capacities, and I really consider myself somewhat of a journalist that understands the big picture. I think that's critically important. I'm very familiar with board governance. I appreciate the model of your balanced governance model that you have here. It's very similar to how I've worked alongside city councils, county commissions, et cetera. So I'm well aware of that particular model. I like to use a lot of aviation analogies because they're fun and they're relatable. But one thing I like about flying so much is that when you're at high altitude, you can see out as far as the eye can see. You can see over the horizon. But you can also see clouds, and if you have a radar, you can see turbulence. And so my feeling is I'd rather stay up in the air than get down to the surface. I want to be able to provide good guidance to the staff. This board should provide direction to the superintendent, who then implements that direction. And when you're a pilot, you may have a navigator, you may have other tools, and the staff supports this board with letting them know what the emerging issues are, where the turbulence is. So I understand that piece. I understand what it means to govern. I've unique experience when I served on the Airport Authority Board. Very similar experience here. We had a CEO who retired, so we needed to do a national search. I was part of that process, helping to find a national search firm, or a search firm rather, then working alongside a committee to develop questions, narrowing down, chiseling down those applicants to four, and then interviewing the final four. So learned some pitfalls that I can bring to this board that I could share with respect to a national search. So I think that's an important experience. Perspective, I think, as I said a few weeks ago, most important job I have is that of a dad. And there's not a day that goes by when my daughters and I have an opportunity to spend some time in the morning together. When I drive them to school, it's kind of our time. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we don't. But when I drop them off, I always watch them go in the building. And, there's always that little echo behind you that kind of hopes that they're safe, And I want our children to know that they're safe in our schools, and I want our parents to know that the kids are safe in schools. I want some of our kids who sometimes are left behind, not as a fault of anybody in particular, but just because of the minutia and the crowdedness and all the environmental whirlwinds, if you will. So this is a tough job, undoubtedly. I think Trustee Smith and Trustee Rodriguez could, maybe and Trustee Taylor, President Taylor could realize, could appreciate when people ask you when you applied, probably the first thing out of their mouth was, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? And said, no, this is a calling. This is something I really believe I can make a difference and affect change. So those are, I think, where my voice, where my experience, where my perspective lies, and why my heart is in this. Again, decision-making for a governing board, high level, staff providing the emerging issues. But I think we have to think strategic. We have to follow use the strategic plan as a roadmap. to implement many of the policies and initiatives that this board has adopted, and I'm confident that I can do that. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, looks like you're good with that, Trustee Smith. Trustee Church?
Okay. If you had a magic wand, what's the one thing you would change at WCSD?
Well, let's see. Thank you for the question, Trustee Church. I think a couple things come to my mind. I think we need to get the parents back on our side. I think we know that there's been a backlash, not particularly for this board, but for school districts all across the country. And you can't really turn on the evening news without hearing some story about a school district doing something in some state and some controversy. And I think, unfortunately, we sort of become linked to that. And so I think it's incredibly important that we continue to perform and to build credibility and trust so we can get the parents, the moms and dads, and back on our side. I think that's incredibly important. So that's one wish I would make. I would also say too, and this is probably a little bit beyond the scope of the Washoe County School District, but I think that there's a real problem at how we fund education in our state. And I think we need to continue to work really hard with our legislators, our governor's office, to increase that pot of money that we get from the state. The state funds that largely go into much of the general fund here is not keeping up with inflationary costs and personnel costs, labor costs, benefits. So I think it's incredibly important that if I could make that happen overnight, I would. But we have a legislative session that convenes every 2 years for only 120 days, and so I think it's a constant struggle. But education funding, with the state having some of the lowest funding per pupil stats in the nation, it is really problematic. And Nevada's a low income tax, and generally a very attractive state to live in because of the tax structure. And that's sort of a double-edged sword. That's why a lot of Californians are coming here and moving here. But I think we continue to really have to work hard at educating our legislators on the challenges that we face. We spend more money in this nation on our prisoners than we do on our own students, and I think that's a problem. So that would be, I think, another thing I would work aggressively, and I know you have a fantastic lobbyist who, here at the school district, one of the best in the state, who's doing that. But and you can't just keep throwing money at things, right? But I think we have to figure out a way to increase that pot of money. So getting parents back on our side and really try to improve the way we fund schools or teachers, teacher pay. And I also would say, as things kind of come into my mind, another magic wand is I think I'd like to reduce overcrowding, if I could make that happen. Overcrowding is a problem at some of our schools, and reducing overcrowding also allows teachers to spend more time with students. So those are, I think, some of the things that come to my mind, Trustee Church. I hope that answers your question.
Those were 3 magic wands, but they were all good, so I accept that.
That's true. You did say one thing.
I did say one, but I'll give you those because those were all good.
Well, you have a follow-up, Trustee Church?
I did. Basically, you mentioned being on the airport thing, and I looked real quick at your resume. You were on the Airport Authority Board?
Oh, yes, sir.
Can you tell how long, what you did, and what other, if you've been on any other boards?
The Airport Authority Board, I served on the Airport Authority Board for 7 years. Served on the Secret Witness Board for a little while. And was on the Spark Citizens Advisory Committee some time ago. And there have been some other nonprofit boards that I've served short stints on. So, thank you.
Okay, you're
Thank you.
you're good, Trustee Church, is that? Okay. Okay, Mr. Mayberry, again, time for my question. Okay.
Thank you.
What are the most important leadership skills, in your opinion, and be as specific as you can, please, sir? What are the most important leadership skills needed in a successful board member?
Well, I think at this capacity, in serving children and students, making sure that they get everything they need, and working alongside, partnering with parents, moms and dads. What comes to my mind, President Taylor, is the term servant leadership. And that's always been something that's important to me, that I've embraced throughout my public service career. Specifically traits: listening, showing empathy. I think as a board member, giving a level of autonomy with informed oversight, if you will. That autonomy given to the superintendent and the senior staff. I think responsiveness and accessibility are incredibly important as a board member. You're representing constituents and moms and dads and residents and business leaders in your district. I think that's a big part of the job, so you need to be responsive and answer questions, facilitate discussions, and being accessible synonymously in the sense of being responsive and answering questions. So I think those are really, really key. Being accessible, being responsive, listening, showing empathy, and I think overall having a sense of presence and kindness, and showing love toward your fellow humans and your community. So those are the thoughts that come to my mind. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. We have a little bit of time here if we have any other follow-ups from the board at all. I think I'm going to I should have followed up on Trustee Smith's question, just from a unique perspective, if you will. And you shared this with us in some of the materials that you submitted to us, and then when you were here before. And so I wanted to go a little bit into part of a unique voice is, you've dealt very well with a hearing impairment.
Thank you.
Will you share with that what kind of how that unique voice can add to us as a board member?
Yeah, no, that's so wonderful. I appreciate the question. Yeah, I'm deaf and bald, so.
Deaf. I was speaking of the deaf, not the bald, just to make that clear. Which one?
Yeah, I have a cochlear implant in my right ear, which I've had this since 2014, and it's changed my life, honestly. Grew up, I had a speech problem, but so when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, early 70s, I was stricken with meningitis. And there was a period of time where I couldn't speak, and I wasn't being, of course I have no recollection of this. This is what my mom and dad would tell me. But they thought maybe I had some brain damage. Anyways, this, again, early 70s. So able to troubleshoot that. In fact, it was a hearing impairment. So I sort of had the evolution of hearing aids. Right? One time you kind of wear a bra-like device with these cords that went up, and they were very visible. And so it was, I was a little different because I had these things in my ears, right? I couldn't speak very well, couldn't talk very well. Now, that's what I do. I'm a communicator because I had a lot of speech therapy. I had some wonderful teachers. And most importantly, I had a wonderful mother. And I'm sorry, this is not what the baby
I am
wanted
so
to do.
sorry.
But she had to fight to make sure that I went to the mainstream of schools, because they wanted to put me in, in the early 70s, things were a lot different than they are today. They wanted to put me in they wanted to put me in a deaf school. And so, fast forward, I'm 51 years old, I'm not signing, but I think that has given me a lot of empathy toward, the children that have special needs, and those that can't speak the language. Okay, so, I think that's a balanced perspective that I can bring. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, it does. It does. Having that kind of experience, and it would impact your perspective.
Yeah.
And I meant to, but I didn't know if that was going to come up at another point. But
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate you asking.
all right, thank you very much. We still have 5 minutes or so, and certainly it's an opportunity for you, if you would, to any closing remarks, any final thoughts you'd like to leave with the board.
Sure, thank you. I do have a closing statement. Looks like I haven't enough time to read that, so I'll do that, and you can move on. So thank you, Madam President, Trustees, Superintendent McNeil, and students and families of the Washoe County School District. It's been an amazing journey to this point. With this public process can be awkward and uncomfortable for myself and my fellow candidates. I realize, too, that it can be uncomfortable for you during deliberations. So I appreciate what you have to go through, and I appreciate your courage, and we'll sleep well with your decision. I know you're in good hands. I want you to know, too, is, that I'm not registered to any political party. I'm a proud American. I'm a Nevadan. I'm a dad. And I'm a blessed citizen of this county. I'm also experienced, and I'm serious about this role, and I'm a realist. Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, wrote, quote, "With the change of circumstances, institutions must advance also to keep pace with the times," end quote. So the 3 R's remain very important. But today I think it is more than that, because not all of our children are average or high performers. Many have disabilities and cannot be left behind because they can contribute and inspire our nation. Not all of our children have a mom or dad. Some of our children have neither. Not all of our children live in a single-family home under a single-family unit. Some live in structures with no heating or working utilities. Some of our children have come from faraway lands because someone loved them enough to make sure they had the opportunities that they would never receive in their birth nation. And some of our children go to bed at night with no adult present because a parent may have to work. And some of our children leave for school in the morning without anyone telling them, "I love you." I'm not suggesting that school boards or teachers should raise our kids, because parents and guardians should. But I do believe there's a proper role for our government, for our schools, to help those who cannot always help themselves so they are not left behind, and that we prepare all our children for the opportunities that lie ahead and give them the academic and emotional support that they need. This is a sacred duty, and it is where my heart is here today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayberry. There is a follow-up, Mr. Mayberry.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
So, as someone that works full-time as a family, I do want to make, if you can, elaborate a little bit more, because this, as you probably may or may not know, this job, it's not a part-time. There's a lot that goes into this. It's more than just every other week board meeting. So, you have support from your employer. Can you kind of just elaborate a little bit more how you manage to or plan to juggle between full-time family and if you were appointed?
Sure. It's a cliche, Trustee Rodriguez. I guess my thought is, it is what it is, right? And so I do have support from my employer. I do have necessary arrangements when it comes to my children in this capacity. I would not be sitting in this seat talking to you if I didn't think that I could do this role.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayberry. Appreciate you coming in now.
Thank you all. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I know, that's all right. You're certainly welcome to stay.
Okay.
Since you finished, you can collect your mobile device. No reason to pull another hat out of the cup, JJ. No. No reason to. Welcome, Mr. Heineman.
Thank you, President Taylor.
I'm going to give you a moment to review the questions.
Absolutely.
And then we'll get started, okay?
Of course, thank you. All right. Sorry for that.
Ready to go? No, that's okay. Wanted to give you a couple moments to do that. This is a review, but just to make sure that we're following the same process. And let me back up. First of all, thank you again for being a part of this process again. We do appreciate that very much. You're going to have about 30 minutes for this entire process. You'll have an opportunity for an opening statement, and then each of us, you have the questions before you. We're going to go in the order at the dais. I'll go last. And then there may be follow-up questions, if time permits, that are specific to your candidacy, so that trustees may ask those as well. And then you'll have an opportunity for a closing statement.
Perfect.
And we'll go from there.
Perfect.
Okay, so you can begin when you're ready with your opening statement, sir.
Thank you, President Taylor. Before I start off, I do want to, I'd be remiss not to mention Dr. Gwani. I know he did withdraw his name. I just do want to thank him for his service to education. We'd be remiss not to mention that. And then, of course, thoughts and prayers to him and his family. I think I speak on behalf of my opponents, who definitely would say so otherwise. Good morning, President Taylor, Vice President Minetto, Superintendent McNeil, and Board of Trustees. It is an incredible honor and privilege to be here once again as a finalist for this vacancy. I'll aim to keep my introductory remarks short in order to dedicate more time to these upcoming questions. In looking at my resume, you may see what I've done, but it does not tell you why. I've always said that one of the quotes that have stayed with me since middle school is that famous quote from Gandhi: "Be the change you wish to see in the world." I'm here today to be that change. I'm here today for our schools, for our educators, and for our students. Some may say that I'm too young to serve on the school board. However, I believe my youth serves as a strength. What I bring is the ability to complement this board with the insights and perspectives from both being a substitute teacher and a recent graduate. It would be one of my greatest honors to serve as a trustee for District F. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I look forward to these questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hyman. We will go ahead and get started with Trustee Rodriguez.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so first question, how do you resolve conflicts with others, community, coworkers, things of that nature, and can you give an example?
Absolutely. I think when it comes to conflicts with the community, or any conflicts, we have to begin with the same set of facts. It's hard to have a dialogue with others who aren't on the same wavelength, and that's a problem. So I think the first step is making sure you have the same information. And if you're not there yet, making sure you have all sides of the information. I think it's easy to get into heated arguments and discussions when y'all aren't on the same wavelengths, when you don't have the same sets of information. You may be hearing something from someone else, and I may be hearing the exact opposite. I think what's most important, you start from that first step. Learning what they know, telling that other individual what you know, and come to a consensus about what the set of facts and what the situation is. After that, I would think it was more, and I know there's a question here about compromise, so I won't spoil it too much, but I do think it is about sitting down and really having that heart-to-heart discussion. That's what I've learned throughout several of my roles, whether it's the student body president or as a field director for municipal campaigns, a food server, a NAB member, a substitute teacher. You know, it is, especially on this board, solutions are important. You have to sit down, have that heart-to-heart. We cannot grandstand. I think for the past couple of months, I think we have kind of wasted our breath on issues that aren't affecting our students, that aren't affecting our schools. And I think that's a great disservice. And I think by settling these conflicts, by settling these disputes, by having those hearts-to-hearts, would really swerve away from those obfuscated and confusing arguments that we are getting into that are driving us away from our end goals.
Thank you. You're good, Trustee Rodriguez? Okay. We'll go on to Vice President Minetto.
Welcome.
Thank you.
If I can find myself. As you know, we as trustees must work together and sometimes compromise. Please tell us your definition of the word compromise.
Thank you. So now I'll talk about compromise. I think compromise is a lot about give and take. It's really easy to get into a situation where you talk about compromise, but what you're really thinking is, I want most of what I want rather than the other person. And that's unfortunate. But I do think we have to stress that, compromises can't be lose-lose. Both parties can't lose at the end. Both parties have to win. Both parties have to gain something. In my experiences, the word compromise has really been trying to understand the other person's point of view, trying to understand what they're going to accomplish. Because sometimes on the surface, it may sound like y'all have different competing interests and different competing results. But if you really dig in, if you really have that heart-to-heart conversation, pick up the phone, talk to that other individual, you're going to find out that our end goals, which I think our end goal is serving our students, can be accomplished in other ways and can be accomplished together. And possibly both our end results can be sewn together and worked through a solution or through a compromise. But I would stress that I think there's a lot of dialogue about compromise, and we are thinking of lose-lose, where both parties lose out, where both end results aren't accomplished. And that's not good. That's not a compromise. That's just a total loss. We have to stress the importance of both parties gaining something, both individuals gaining something, and really digging down and figuring out what are we trying to accomplish. Because we're all here to accomplish something for our kiddos. And I think when we realize that, I think a lot of us can get sort of a lot of things accomplished. Of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go on to Clerk Nicolette.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Specifically, what do you hope to accomplish and why?
Right. That's a great question. I would be remiss not to mention that this is over a year goal. So, I am not campaigning on any big political reformation or reform. What I'm here is to provide stable governance for the remaining year as a trustee, to provide really meaningful insights to this board as a substitute teacher, as a recent graduate, and as a proud community member. Specifically, I think there's three issues or three things that face this board. First and foremost, for me, it's communication. I think it is essential that especially this trustee, an at-large trustee, Trustee Nicolette would know, there are a lot of schools to cover from Natchez to Double Diamond in this district. It's really important for this trustee to have an established facet of communication with a lot of the stakeholders in this community. That includes our schools, that includes community members, that includes our educators, and that they really harness the value of social media. I think it's easy to get involved in a sort of groupthink sort of dynamic where you don't have all the information you should know. But harnessing that and receiving not just information on school tours, right, or district presentations, but also reaching out and hearing what others have to say. Communication, big one. The two other issues, I think, is the superintendent search. We have a really big responsibility to ensure our community and our schools feel that they have a stake in that search process. I think we would be setting our superintendent up for failure if the community did not feel they had a place in that process. I think it's really important for the board to understand, and as a trustee, I'd bring this, is that the burden of getting the community involved is not the community. It's not on the community. It's not on our schools. They're busy. It's on us. It's on us to get the community involved. If we set up a meeting that the community can't show up to and we're seeing lack of results, we don't shrug. We don't throw up our hands and say, well, clearly they don't want to be involved. We go back to the drawing board and find solutions that can really get our community involved and get our schools involved. And that third final issue is, I think, an issue that plagues school boards across Nevada and school district. It's those lack of resources. I know I share in the same sentiment as you are. I am sick and tired of hearing that we are doing more with less, that, we are having to come up with creative solutions. It is tiring, really, really tiring. And I think, especially with the past school year, as a substitute teacher, I can attest to, it has been really hard on our staff. It's really important for us. I think we have a really big opportunity with the American Rescue Plan, to where the funds are siphoning to Washoe County, to really utilize those funds and address some inequities here in Washoe County in education. I think also with the Build Back Better plan and the other bipartisan infrastructure plan in Congress, hopefully getting passed, those bills would then free up some more money for Nevada's infrastructure needs to then give more money for educational needs. Those are the three things that I think are really important. That's what I'm going to seek out as a trustee, really looking at how we can put our money where our mouth is, making sure that we utilize those funds from the American Rescue Plan effectively, superintendent search, and then communication.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good, Dr. Nicolette.
Thank you, President Taylor.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Heineman.
Of course.
Appreciate you being here. My question today: what unique voice, experience, or perspective will you bring to the Board of Trustees, and how will this impact the quality of our decisions?
I think it's a great question. I hope I'm not beating a dead horse by answering this. I have had one of the great privileges of being a proud 12-year Washoe County student. I had the honor of having a degree from here with President Taylor's signature, in fact. I love this school district. This school district has given me a lot, and I love this community, and I want to give back. It's why I'm here. The perspective I bring as a recent graduate, but also the recent perspective I'm bringing now is as a substitute teacher. I have lots of stories of being both a long-term substitute teacher and now a short-term substitute teacher in certain classrooms. I see just for example, we were just talking in the lovely boardroom y'all set up, that there is, when you go into our schools, there is a sense of a lack of stability. I think when we all went to school, and I recently, but there was a sense of stability that school provided, that sense of predictability. But COVID's changed that. COVID has really thrown that out the window. Our kiddos, they don't know what's to come because everything is just so unstable right now. As a substitute teacher, I've seen that, and I think it's really hard to see that when you aren't in our schools. when, you don't have that stake. I've seen that. I've witnessed that. And I want to bring perspectives like that to the board. I think when looking at decisions, one of the questions I'm going to be asking constantly is, how does this affect our kiddos? How does this affect our schools? How's this affecting our educators? And since I've been there, I know that. I know that I've seen those different challenges. But I'll preface by saying this, I'm not someone that knows all the answers, by all means. I am someone who is always willing to learn, who is willing to open up my heart and my mind to new ideas and new perspectives. This is a big district, like I've mentioned. There are dozens of issues that are particular to different communities and to different schools. And as a trustee, what I would be dedicated to is really reaching out in those schools, reaching out to those individuals. And we may not come up with a solution, but at the very least, providing that ability for those people to reach out when they have a problem, when they have an issue. I think we always talk about, what I always try to talk about, is as a board, what I can bring, and I think what a lot of you have brought, is that we can put a face to the issues that face our board. I think it's really important. But I also think it's important that community members and that schools and educators put a face to the board. They know their trustees. We're not just some bureaucratic board of governance that, that doesn't listen. That we listen to them, that we care, that we too have stakes. Trustee Rodriguez has often said this, that, we're also the people at the intersection waiting with you. We're people too. I think it's really important to provide that. And that's what I'm committed to do, and I think that's what perspective I would provide, is that I've been in those schools. I've seen our issues, I've seen our challenges. But also I acknowledge that there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn for all of us. Issues continue to evolve. I wish that the issues that continue to plague our district when I was a student were still existing, but we've added more. There are more challenges, and challenges continue to exist every day. And as a trustee, you have to be willing to adapt to that and willing to learn from that. You can't just come to this panel, this dais, with one perspective, with one knowledge. You have to continue to evolve, continue to adapt, and continue to listen.
All right, thank you very much, Trustee Church.
If you had a magic wand, what's the one thing you would change at WCSD?
Right. That's a great question. I wish we all could have that one wish. I think, of course, this pandemic, I would wish it away. Absolutely. I wish it never happened. It is heartbreaking to see what it has done to our school culture, to our schools, to our communities. It has exposed the inequities that we have seen, that we haven't really been talking about. So I am grateful for that aspect. But boy, has it really, really, really put a burden on our educators and on our students. It has been really, really hard. So I would wish that away. I would wish that COVID would not happen. Besides COVID, though, it's the resources. We continue, Washoe County continues to be picking up the short end of the stick when it comes from the state. I think it's really hard for community members to understand that, we can't just, hey, let's raise the budget and, we now have more money. We unfortunately keep getting short-ended from the state. And as trustees and as a trustee, I would be a fierce advocate to our state legislature and to advocate for more funds for our district and our county. And like I've said, I think we have a real opportunity with the American Rescue Plan. Using those funds, utilizing those funds, investing in new policies and new programs to really show and address the inequities that we see in our district.
Okay, I was thrown off. God bless you. I was trying to get that in. And then Trustee Church, was that you? All right? Okay. Okay, Mr. Heineman, it is my turn for a question, sir.
Okay.
And I'd like you to be as specific as you can on this. Okay. What are the most important leadership skills needed in a successful board member?
I think that is a great question. And I do want to mention this, and it answers that question. I think it is really easy, especially for us, especially for this body of people, to want to get in the weeds, to want to roll up your sleeves, figure out an issue, fix it, and deal with it. But that's not our job. As a trustee, we have to understand that we are here. It's the difference between management interference and management oversights. It is easy for us, I think, to, like I said, roll up our sleeves, interfere, solve the issue, want to figure it out. And there are very few, but some circumstances where that's necessary. But the board's goal is to oversee the superintendent. It's to oversee the district. It's to provide strategic goals. And it's also, of course, the responsible for hiring and firing the superintendent. It's really important for the trustees to acknowledge the skill of deliberation, of delegation, and to acknowledge that, unfortunately, that magic wand that Trustee Church is referencing, it's not possible. We're not going to get that. It's not going to be easy. We're not going to solve the issues that plague our district in one meeting. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take hard work, it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of compromise and conversation. I think the really important attribute is delegation. Also, I think as a trustee, it's to love our students. By gosh, it is to have a true love for education, a true understanding how important education is. And at the end of the day, we are here for our kids. We're here for our students. And we had to be here for all students, not just for those that look like us or for those who think like us, for all students. And remember that there are vulnerable populations of students, and we have to be there for them too. So a love of students, a knowledge of delegation, and I think just a really importance, especially in this new era, of a really importance of bringing a collaborative spirit, of working as a team, I think is really important for this board. To really accomplish the goals and values that it sets out.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Heineman. I'm looking to my colleagues to see if there are follow-up questions you're leading in. Go ahead, Trustee Rodriguez.
If I remember correctly from the last board meeting, your last interview, you're currently in school full-time.
Correct.
So I do ask this question to other trustees or candidates. So working full-time, right. I know Trustee Smith does as well, there's a lot of juggling.
Yeah.
Or do you have things implemented to help you if you are appointed? And can you kind of give us a little bit of an example how you plan to juggle? Because you're going for 2 degrees, right?
I am, yes.
So that's very impressive.
Yes.
So I know that's got to be pretty demanding. So if you can just kind of elaborate a little bit more.
It is. I will preface by saying, just in fear that my parents are watching, I have an amazing family, an amazing support system. I think it's really critical for any leader to have that amazing support system around me that has helped me so far, and I hope to help me continue in any endeavors I pursue. In terms of education, I'm really grateful that I have really befriended the College of Liberal Arts, and I have a really flexible schedule. Although the workload is demanding, I am committed to this position, to this trustee role. I'll be graduating in May of 2022. That will, of course, free up more time for my position here at the school board. But I have the time now and have the service committed to do this role. And so I do have the systems in place. I'll probably be taking down a couple shifts at my restaurant job, but I do have the time and the wherewithal to put in this effort to serve this community. And I will be, I think it's kind of important, I do have a resignation letter here for my time here as a substitute teacher. And I think by resigning from that, definitely would free up time for this position.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Rodriguez. Any other follow-up questions from anyone? Okay, seeing none, then we still have an opportunity for you to have your closing statement, closing remarks, any thoughts you'd like to leave with the Board of Trustees.
Thank you. I really do appreciate the questions. Thank you, President Taylor, Vice President Minetto, members of the board, for the very thoughtful questions. By answering these questions, I hope that I've shown you that I'm a proud member of this community who has constantly and consistently stepped up to the plate, ready to serve. I bring a record of commitment to our schools, whether it be as a former student leader like President Taylor, a teacher like Vice President Minetto. I have been a candidate like Trustee Nicolette and Trustee Church, and a citizen like Trustee Rodriguez and Trustee Smith who have stepped in to support our district when they saw the need. I bring unique experiences, including the recent honor of teaching our students and active involvement with the current young leaders of this community. Those experiences give me the ability to tune into the needs of our phenomenal educators and support staff. I'll bring a fresh and energetic and youthful perspective to the Board of Trustees. It is this perspective that I believe that will strengthen the work that is needed and that is happening in our school district. And finally, I have to admit that I am biased. My relationship with the many educators, students, and members of the community, combined with the fact that my own high school degree comes from this district, leads me to want to do everything possible to ensure that this district and the education it provides is the best of the best. Once again, thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Heineman.
Thank you.
Okay, our interview piece is up, so you're certainly welcome to stay, retrieve your mobile device and stay for the rest of this. And why don't we do this before we take public comment? Why don't we have a break? Let's take about 15-minute break. Okay, come in and 15, because I was going to say 10, but we always make it 15, so let's make it 15. And then we'll come on back and we'll begin with public comment and then go to deliberations. No, won't be fair to be, no, 15. We are on recess. Thank you, everybody. All righty. We will reconvene and go right to, again, a great job by all the applicants. Thank you so much for being a part of this process. And thank you for those of you who stayed to share your comments, and we're looking forward to hearing those public comments now.
Katie Simon Holland.
Miss Simon Holland, welcome back.
Nice to see all of you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. I first want to thank you all for your dedication and your courage and your commitment to serve. I know that it's not easy. I know these are very challenging times, and you've given a lot of your personal lives. Your families have sacrificed, so I just want to thank all of you for your courage and your commitment. And I also want to thank the candidates for stepping up. As someone said, are you crazy? I know all of you heard that when you applied or ran for office, and just want to thank the candidates for stepping up. I'm here to convey my very full and wholehearted support for Adam Mayberry to be the trustee selected for District F. I've known Adam for more than 15 years in his various roles in civic life, and I can tell you that he is a person of character. He is trustworthy. He is credible, he's compassionate, and he's a great steward of the public trust. Having sat where you sit, I can say that now is a particularly critical time for experienced public leadership, and Adam brings a variety of experiences in that regard. He's also a calm and steady and compassionate leader that has leadership presence. He's very well known in the community, and of course, he's a professional communicator and has shared with you his story, his journey of what it takes to be a communicator when you can't hear. And I think it's just remarkable what he has been able to achieve in this community, and it's because of his character. Some of the specifics of why he's a uniquely qualified person to serve you on the board and to serve all of us on the board. He knows and understands open meeting law, having served as a member of a public body that's subject to open meeting law. He understands at a deep level the distinction between being a staff member and being a board member, having served elected boards as a staff member and having served as an appointed board member appointed by the Sparks City Council on the Airport Board of Trustees. He knows the difference between the work of the staff and the work of the board, and understands and appreciates. You heard him talk about strategy and vision and those things, keeping your eye on the horizon, which are so important for a policymaker, which is what the role of the board is. And he is a teacher, teaches at UNR. He has that experience. He's a parent, as he mentioned. He's a product of the Washoe County School District schools, a lifelong public servant, and a person who can bring great compassion, great consideration, calmness, and steadiness to the board. I wrote you an email, and I closed by saying we often think about who do we want by our side in a crisis, and he has been by my side in a crisis, and he deserves to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simon Holland.
Valerie Fianaka.
Welcome back, Ms. Fianaka.
Thank you. I wanted to thank you all for your service as well, and also to let you know I prayed for you this morning before I got out of my car because this is a big day. And also for all you candidates, thank you very much for applying. That public scrutiny is not easy. I know it's very difficult to open up your lives to everybody and anybody that wants to see it. Mr. Mayberry, you're an obvious choice for this job. One correction I want to make to your comments today, though, we're not a democracy, we're a republic, and there's a big distinction there. We need to keep that in mind. It's a republic if we can keep it. I would respectfully request this vote be halted. You have the cart before the horse. I've stated this in the last 3 meetings, that there's a legitimate legal issue regarding the votes taken by Jackie Calvert and subsequently by Mr. Rodriguez. And you know that I respect you and I appreciate you. I have no problem with you personally. But your vote is in legal question. You've partially acknowledged this by placing this issue on the agenda this afternoon to be discussed. Apparently the cost of a lawsuit does not deter this board, unfortunately, and it should, because that's going to come about. This needs to be halted and stopped before this vote is taken. This vote may not be legal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Fianaka.
Pablo Nava Duran.
Welcome back, Mr. Duran.
Hello. Good evening. So we do need to fill up the district F. Now today is today to fill this up. So I want to talk about all the 4 candidates. So they were top and the 3 candidates were very good candidates to be a board trustee. I'm going to start with Adam Mayberry. Adam Mayberry know how to do the public comment. That's KE7 Holland does. He's a former professor of community college, Touchman Community College. So I will keep in mind that we are living democracy, and yes, we are Republic of the United States of America. So that's great. So it seems like Adam Mayberry is very professional, very ethical for this position, and he could be a good fit for this candidate. So I will give him a rank second on my top choice. So Eva Divas is a very good candidate of mine. So I heard a lot of people in my neighborhood wanted Eva Diaz for become a board of trustee, kind of stuff, because he advocated for immigration, LGBTQ, and Latino advocacy, all kind of stuff. So as this Washington County's board of trustee had to be not partisan. So that a little bit concerned about his advocacy was great for the student for having diversity in what's coming through the school district, but had to be not partisanship. So I give her a third ranking. So the first one, I would like to choose my favorite candidate. I want to choose Jack Herderman. He is currently a UNR student. He will be graduating 2022, and I wish him the best if he could. So I wish he's a great candidate. He's very young and energetic. If you give him a chance to become a board trustee as the youngest board trustee in Washington County school history, and hopefully not a lot of young people are running for the office. That's a huge problem because some U.S. senator who are 90 years old is currently running for the U.S. Senate for re-election from Iowa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duran.
Board received emails from Jeffrey Capurro, John Porter, Jenny Espinoza, Galinda Espinoza, Christian Ario, Cesar Marquez, Brian Bedford, Adela Quiros Perez, Gamelia Enriquez, Lucille Aiden, Hawa Ahmad, Maureen's Cano, Michael Baselli, Donald Abbott, Paula McDonald, Paul Leonard, Christy Demon, Councilman Christopher Dahir, Shirley Diaz, Jocelyn C., Councilwoman Charlene Thomas Bybee, Stephanie McCurry, Annette Marinette, Betty Hicks, Jose Chattis, Kimmy Cole, Natalie McMillan, Mylan Hawkins, Manny Becerra, Jesse Bullock, Rachel Fisher, Maria Skolnick, Jose Montesinos, Dinah Mayer, Chris Knox, Christine McAvoy, Elvira Diaz, and Abby Whitaker.
Thank you very much, JJ. Some of those public comments came in this morning. If you haven't had a chance to take a look, then let's please make sure we do that as well. Okay, let's bring it back to the table. We want to hear from everyone, and we can certainly go around. Our usual Trustee Church can jump in first. And then what we will do after we have some discussion, just kind of sharing your thoughts, right? As we've done in the past, we will then vote. We have 3 candidates, so we will vote 1, 2, 3. The top candidate gets 3 votes. Your second choice gets 2 votes, and then your third choice gets 1 vote. Okay. It looks like we may have a public comment. Ms. Coley, did you put in a card?
I did.
Here, we'll find it. Come on up.
Miss Simon Holland said it all.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Let's note down that we have that. We have ditto from Miss Coley. That's all we have, her comment. Thank you, ditto. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting public comment. Ditto. Okay. But it's good to have you on the record as making comment too, so we appreciate that. Thank you, JJ. Again, we'll have, we know that Dr. Galtney withdrew his name this morning, so we have three applicants before us who are our finalists. Yes, certainly. Oh, thank you, Council. Let's make sure, do it right now before you forget. Everyone, put your name on top of your page, because I will be the one to forget. Thank you, Council. And again, so after we have a little discussion, just share our thoughts and whatever you like to do. Then we'll vote again. 3 applicants. Your top choice should get 3. Your second choice should get 2, and your third choice should get 1. Okay, 3, 2, 1. 3 going to your top vote. We'll turn them all in to JJ. Take a quick little recess, and check in and go on from there. Okay. All right. So deliberation. You're gonna make Jeff go for? Okay. Okay. Trustee Rodriguez. Okay. Please go ahead.
I always hate this part. Haven't been through the process yourselves, and I'm sure Trustee Smith can probably. I don't know the words for it. It's intimidating, and someone from my background, I'm thinking big, strong guy. It's an intimidating process, and there's no easy decision here. So I just kind of want to touch a little on everyone. Mr. Mayberry does bring quite a bit of experience. Having served on the Board of Trustees as well, and I think that's and as a parent, I think that's something that's also very important as well. So those are some great qualities I see. And then plus your life story is very impressive. Mr. Heineman, again, brings a very unique perspective of having just been a product of the Washoe County School District. I think that's something, I mean, it's almost that bridge between a Board of Trustees and a student trustee. I think that's definitely one there as well. And then obviously a very educated, impressive young man that's obtaining 2 degrees at the same time. And so I do think that's something that's very notable as well. And then finally, Ms. Diaz brings another unique, I think almost marries Jeff and I, speaks Spanish and then comes from a Latino background. Very strong advocate in the community. Running for office yourself, I think that's something that's, you kind of know this game as well, not the game, but the profession. So no real order there, but I think you're all very impressive candidates. And again, for Mr. Gaki, I think another very impressive candidate, having to go against him in the last appointment process, which was very intimidating. And I do just want to put out there that I wish him and his family well, and I'm sad to see that he withdrew, and I hope him and his family are doing okay. So again, I want to thank you all for being here, and it's not an easy choice. You're all very strong candidates.
Thank you, Trustee Rodriguez. Why don't we, since we started on that end, we're just going to, let's make our way this way around. Usually we get the pleasure of going last on this end, so we're throwing everybody in first. So, Vice President Minetto?
I don't even know what to say. This is like a really, really hard decision. I'm going to say ditto. How's that?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Ms. Coley, for giving us the word for the day. We have another meeting, so we may carry that over. Clerk Minetto?
Or me.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at you like what? I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
I have no idea. You guys look nothing alike. You're nothing. I have no idea. I apologize.
Some habits are hard to break.
Minetto.
I
I'm used
understand.
to saying Clerk Minetto. That's why. Clerk Minetto.
Oh.
Clerk Nicolette.
Thank you, each one of you. And I will start out by saying, Dr. Galtney, what a man of integrity. He did what he has to do for himself and his family, his wife, Ellie. And I applaud him because I know he really wanted to serve, because he knows that he has a great deal to bring to this decision-making table. And so I wish him the best. This decision is very complex because each candidate brings something special. And, you know, if I could just like roll you all into one ball and have you sit here at the dais, that to me would be absolutely wonderful. But I don't think that's in the law. Is it, General Counsel? Can we do that? No, we can't do that. I look for key words, and I will tell you, you all used the one word I try to listen for the most, and that's students. So thank you for that. The other word is trust. You all used the word trust, the public trust. Thank you for that, because whoever is fortunate and honored enough to sit at the dais, the other two candidates, I would hope, beyond hope, that you will continue to serve. There are many ways to serve our school district. I think you all know that. So please don't go away. We need everybody to help make good things happen for our students, for our employees, for our community. So please don't disappear into the woods. I think that what kind of shifted me the most was hearing the importance of the search process for our new superintendent and the difference between getting in the weeds. Sometimes you got to understand the weeds to make 50,000-foot decisions, but you don't hang there. And so this process that we will embark upon today, will continue today, it's a long process, is extremely important. And it is really our number one job. Overseeing a budget, we're very blessed to have experts who make that happen and inform us. And then, of course, the auditor. But the superintendent is that leader, that heartfelt leader that we are now going to embark upon finding. I don't even say replace, because you cannot be replaced. So the decision for me is rather clear in this. At this time, we need someone who has been in the weeds of public service, who understands NRS, NAC / in addition open meeting law. And I want to thank all three of you and those that went through the application process, because this is an important job. It is important work during a very fragile time. And we need all of us working together to make good things happen. And so to everyone in this room, let's continue to work together for our students and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nicolette. I'll just stay with doctor because that makes it easy. Trustee Smith?
Thank you, President Taylor. I would like to say thank you to all of our candidates, including those from the first round as well. I know from having just done this about 3+ months ago that it is very interesting to not be a person in the public, but to be a product and to be viewed as such. There's a lot of vulnerability there, and our 3 candidates have all shined in that regard. I think that you are all phenomenal. Today's decision is an incredibly difficult one. I will give some insight that how I am looking at things is someone, to me, that is a compliment to the board, and that is with an E, not an I. So someone that is adding something to this group, because the role of a trustee is really fascinating. At the same time, you are both powerful and powerless. Our power is our team. It is our unity. And the perspectives that we can bring to it are what make us strong. With that said, all 3 of you are outstanding candidates, and I will be honored to call any one of you my colleagues after today's vote.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Trustee Church?
Thank you very much. Excuse me. In addition to all those names that were read from the public comment, we received many direct, many to board members or direct, and all 3 of the candidates received many, many emails of support. I found it kind of interesting that 2 of the candidates did receive negative emails. In other words, I had emails saying, don't pick Mr. Heineman because of his youth and inexperience, and don't pick Ms. Diaz because of her advocacy. I found that kind of interesting, and it didn't sway me one way or another, but I found that interesting. And in terms of his youth and inexperience, I responded to those people that spoke to me and said he's a sharp guy and I could work with him. So I actually responded to some of those and said, no, I don't agree. That said, I think all 3 have outside obligations, as we've talked about, so there's no real distinction there. Ms. Diaz aced the interview. I mean, in terms of the interview, the answers were just outstanding, and I'm thinking, wow, this is awesome. And then came the other 2 who also did so well. If it wasn't for the other 2, I mean, depending on the group you were with, Ms. Diaz was just, really understood those issues and responded well. I still have concerns she lists 3 present occupations, all of which involve politics and advocacy. And like many of the people that emailed opposed to her, I have concerns about can that integrate into a cohesive group that we can work together when there's certain single issues that are a major concern to that person, as opposed to the other 2 candidates that don't really have that same perspective. Some people might say it's a positive, but those are concerns. Miss Katie Holland Simon, when she speaks, I listen. She brings so much experience, both from the school board as well as former county manager experience, so I listen to that. On the other hand, Mr. Heineman, I don't want to upset him since he may be our next or future U.S. Senator and U.S. President, so I don't want to upset the apple cart there. So what it comes down to me, I really have to bring it down, to be honest, to Mr. Heineman or Mr. Mayberry, and I can work easily with either one of those 2 individuals. I know I can. I've spoken to Jack on a number of occasions, never spoken to Mr. Mayberry, but I know that the 2 candidates, either one, I could be very happy with. I noticed, Mr. Mayberry, I've made some notes on, again, keywords: stability, sense of unity, big picture, informed oversight, and having served on various boards. So I consider that a positive. And again, while Jack's background isn't as varied, he is a sharp guy and brings so much to the table that to me, it's almost 50-50 for me. I could work easily well with both, but those are my general thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Church, and to all of my colleagues, all of our colleagues. I'm going to just say ditto again to so many of the things that have already been said. For myself, I need to start with Dr. Galtney, with his experiences, his interest and his desire to help. I mean, there's no other reason for him to be here, right? For him to even have thrown his hat in the ring, or for him to even have gotten up and come out this morning, other than that, and to share some thoughts with us. That's a sage, wise person right there. Just wants to share that. So just again, so much appreciation for him and what he's done, and even how he decided he made whatever decision he had to. He didn't say why he made the decision to withdraw, but certainly we respect it. And but he still cared enough about this process and about us to come out this morning and to share those words. And so I'm so greatly appreciate it. I think all three of these candidates are just outstanding. Just outstanding. It's not as clear cut to me in terms of this versus that, or this person, and this no indictment on anybody who has that by any means. I look at just in order of appearance, so to speak. I look at the passion and the heart of Ms. Diaz and her long history of community involvement. This is just who she has been, and then bringing a voice that we don't have, a parent of an LGBTQ student. That those issues continue to evolve, and how we are creating a good educational environment for all students, right? For all students, and then a continuing to grow voice of the Latinx community, very valuable, and could lend some things to us to help make us a better board. Mr. Heineman, obviously the recent student voice in a way with a vote this time, right? Because we have a student trustee, but with a vote. And his desire, even right after high school, that he wanted to get involved right away and began to get involved right away. His commitment to this, because there are a lot of things he can get involved with, right? A lot of things. His commitment to this district, and his courage to continue to be involved, and the courage to go and be a long-term sub when you're not even older than some of the students. I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. I don't know how subs were when you were in school, but that's not an easy gig. That's not an easy gig, and so the courage that just shows how much of a commitment he has, and really a desire to help make us better, Mr. Mayberry, his history of service, as mentioned before, his certainly really commendable and really admirable personal story, the knowledge of boards and what it is that we do and how they work, and the experience. The years of experience that he shared with us as well. I think, it's really important to me as I consider, and I don't know which way I'm going. I don't know I'm always the last one usually turning my paper. Sorry, JJ, I know you're always waiting for me. Sorry. Because it's just a really big decision, and I think that I am more concerned about our board and our district as we move forward. We have the huge decision of hiring a superintendent. A lot of really important decisions out there. Absolutely. The single most important decision we make, though, is who's going to sit in this chair. Because this impacts every other decision. And you look at what else is going on. We'll be going into a strategic plan, which will set the course. Of course, it comes through us as a board, but that's under the leadership of the superintendent. So even more so. And then this is a time it's really challenging time for superintendents. So it's going to be a difficult search. And so I look at who will help us as we make those decisions, and what do they bring in that? Who will help us over this 14 months? A whole lot of things have to happen in 14 months. Very short period of time, but man, a lot of things have to happen. And who can help as we guide the district through these really important pieces. So, and I think all three can bring something to add to help us in making those decisions. And it's just a matter of what they bring and how they kind of fall. So I appreciate again. Everyone who applied, certainly. I've been obviously I've been elected a couple of times since then, but I got on the board as an appointee. And you've been through the process. Everyone's been through the appointing process except for you, Vice President Minetto. And the rest of us have been there, so we certainly know what that's like to have done that. And so again, just I really appreciate all that got involved. And as Dr. Nicolette said, just encourage you to stay involved as we go through this piece, as we get down to some of the nitty-gritty to do this. So why don't we go ahead and vote, if there's nothing further from the dais. Why don't we go ahead and vote? And remember, make sure your name is on the page at the top, and then your top candidate gets a 3, Your second tier candidate gets a 2, and your third choice gets a 1. And we couldn't make a bad choice here, so let's just I'll turn our things in and start moving down the process. I'm not last.
No, you're not.
Okay, why don't we take a quick 5 minutes, and then we'll come on back, and JJ will go with legal counsel, they'll tally, and go from there. We'll be back in 5, everyone. Okay, let's go ahead and reconvene. It seems as though we are ready to move forward, so why don't we go ahead and do that? And what JJ will do, thank you, JJ, is read off the names and the votes per trustee, and we'll have a tally, and then as a board, we will decide what our next steps should be.
Jeff Church, Adam Mayberry 3, Jack Heineman 2. Beth Smith, Jack Heineman 3, Elvira Diaz 2, Adam Mayberry 1. Diane Nicolette, Adam Mayberry 3, Elvira Diaz 2, Jack Heineman 1. Angela Taylor, Adam Mayberry 3, Jack Heineman 2, Elvira Diaz 1. Ellen Minetto, Adam Mayberry 3, Jack Heineman 2. Joe Rodriguez, Jack Heineman 3, Adam Mayberry 2, Elvira Diaz 1. Adam Mayberry received 15 votes, Jack Heineman received 13, and Elvira Diaz received 6.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll go further in the process then. So now we have before us, we have a candidate with 15, we have one with 13, and we have one with 6. And so we have to look for the pleasure of the board. We can do another round vote with the top 2 candidates, and everyone pick their 1, right? Or we can do a 1-2. It's what's the pleasure of the board? I see you leaning in, Trustee Smith.
This was the same decision by this board when it was my appointment, and I do believe that based on the points that we do have someone who has risen to the top. And so I would suggest to my colleagues that we go with the candidate with the most points after this round of voting, but very open to anyone else's thoughts.
Okay. Certainly open to thoughts, and certainly open to a motion if someone wants to make that this time as well. Other feelings, other impressions?
I'm trying to remember.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yeah, I remember when I was going this process with Mr. Galkey, we were tied. Is that why we did the second round, 1-2? Is that correct?
I think you were tied.
Okay.
And then we went to the next one. But it's gone either way along the years in it. So it's really the desire of the board. Someone can make a motion at this point if that's your desire, or we can do another round of voting. Looking for the pleasure of the board. Okay, how about a motion to do one or the other would be fantastic at this point as well. Trustees? Okay, then this will, okay. I was just gonna make a decision. Okay, Vice President Minetto, and then we'll go to Trustee Rodriguez.
Oh, I was going to make a motion.
You can, and then we'll see if there's a second. Then we'll have discussion.
Pursuant to Nevada Revised Statutes, NRS 386.270, the Board of Trustees, I move that the Board of Trustees appoints Mr. Adam Mayberry to fill the vacancy on the Board of Trustees in District F to serve in the position until January 2nd, 2023 at midnight.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Church. Let's have discussion. Trustee Rodriguez? And it's okay to speak for another
Yeah, no, I think there's a real distinction between the top two. They're really close. And I just really feel they both have great characteristics they can bring to the board. And before the motion, I would have been open to a second round of votes to really narrow down the top two, because they're really close. Taking away the points from the third candidate.
Okay. All right, other discussion? Trustee Church?
Judging from the lack of seconds and people thinking and not speaking up, I think we're all in the same boat. I could go either way, but what sways me, as much as I like Jack and much as he brings to the table, Mr. Mayberry he's ready to take the seat, having served on the different committees and boards, and City of Sparks is the government affairs person. For the short term, that's kind of what sways me a tiny bit. For the short term that this is for, I'm ready to vote yes.
Okay, other discussion? Because there's a motion on the floor in a second, so we certainly need to address the motion and then go from there, unless there's further discussion. Okay, we'll start with that, and then if we have a motion, great. If not, we'll go further. Okay, so the motion on the floor is that Mr. Adam Mayberry be appointed to fill the vacant seat in District F. And the motion was by Vice President Minetto. There was a second by Trustee Church. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Okay, the motion is carried. Let the record show that it is unanimous. It is unanimous. Mr. Mayberry, congratulations, sir. And I would be, just before we go further, I cannot thank Mr. Heineman and Ms. Diaz enough. I mean, to get to this point is amazing anyway, right? But to really, make it known that you have this kind of a commitment to education, for this board to say, hey, we believe enough in you to ask you to be in the finalists and consider to go further. I mean, I think it speaks just really highly to how you represented yourself, what you bring, what we hope you will continue to bring. We still need you. Those voices we talk, we still need that. This cannot be a more critical time for this board. And we need people like you to help us. We need help. We don't have it all together. I got to tell you, we need help. We need your help. So please consider staying involved, and look forward to reaching out to say, hey, we like to hear from you. Okay, Superintendent.
And Mr. Heineman, please resend your resignation for substitute, please, immediately.
We do need substitutes.
Don't quit your day job.
Yeah, don't quit that one. I tell you what, don't quit that one. But yeah, but again, I can't say enough. This was tough. This was tough. Okay, so now that being said, Mr. Mayberry, I have an oath right here for you, for us. Okay, why don't we go ahead and come forward? I'll meet you at the podium. Yes.
Are you giving the real oath right now then?
No, yes, this is the real oath.
Okay. Well, we need to get the notary. She's out in the hallway.
Okay, let's bring it. So this what will happen, Mr. Mayberry. We're going to do the quote unquote real oath, because there's some business that we have to take care of. Okay. All right? No, you stay right here. And then there'll be a ceremonial. So if you have any family members or anything like that, before we have our meeting at 2:00, we'll do that at the very beginning of that meeting.
Okay. Thank
you. So we'll have an opportunity to take pictures and
great.
and all of that. So I'll come join you now, and then the notary has already moved into position behind you, so you'll sign more paperwork now than when you bought a house.
That's going to be the best note out of school for his daughter.
Okay. Oh, it's right here, so I didn't even need it.
Okay.
You ready to raise your right hand?
I am, yes.
Okay. I state your name.
I, Adam Mayberry.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support.
That I will support.
Protect. And defend. The Constitution and government.
The Constitution and government.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
And the Constitution and government.
and the Constitution and government
of the State of Nevada
of the State of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance,
and
loyalty
to the same.
Any ordinance, resolution, or law of the state, notwithstanding, and that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of the office of school trustee, on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations, Trustee Mayberry. Looking forward to it. Coming up, in the meeting, right? Yep. Mr. Mayberry. Hang on just a second. We're going to close the meeting out. We're going to get you to sit. All right? Don't go away.
They want you to sit down and then you just stand right there.
Yeah, that's it.
You can sit right there.
Okay, just to close out the meeting, we have a final closing comment period. JJ, we have any closing comments? Any public comments?
Pablo Nava Duran.
Mr. Duran?
The board received an email from Will Harper.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Duran?
Oh, so I want to congratulate Adam Mayberry. Now he's a new trustee of a board of trustee. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Pablo Nava. I've recently graduated from University of Nevada, Reno, and with marketing management, do major, minor as accounting. So I want to let you know that FDA has improved for COVID-19 vaccine for Pfizer from age from 5 to 11 years old. So I think that we should give them a vaccine for all the K to 12 students. So we might expect it to get a little bit of percentage. You know, some parents might wear it out, but they're not for anti-vaccine. But just have to wear it out. To reach out, maybe try to reach out for a little bit and give them of space, give them an option of choice. If you want to see if vaccine or not, but try to make sure. No one is mandatory. That's what California was because they're mandatory vaccine for all the students. So I try to make sure if a student want to get a vaccine, you must have to get the form, ask for the parent for permission to get COVID vaccines. Mm-hmm. So we're not here for mandatory. We want to give a parent the option to get the COVID vaccine or not, but they give them if their parent are get vaccine, but the parent don't, so that's okay. Might wait out till December. There's you know what, I'm gonna get the vaccine, so that's great. So it's a great news for all the students to get back to normal, get the vaccine and get back to normal. I'm not sure what the percentage is, so I want the Washington County Health Department to look what percent still are currently fully vaccinated for high school only. So in December, if a school was met, I think that we ask the governor assistant to have ways of vaccinating for high school students only. But middle school and middle school stay in put, so I think that for now it's stay in put for now. But we have I wanted for data for how many students are fully vaccinated. If I decide to, you know what, I think that you should ask the governor to raise the mask mandate for high school only. So here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Duran.
That's all I have for this item.
Okay. All right, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And again, thank you to our applicants. Thank you for being here. We have our regular meeting at 2 p.m.